All right, what's up, yins guys? Time for another video. And when I first started trying to do videos like these, and I thought that was the one when I first started around the holidays, that I thought I was gonna address all these things at once, but then I found out that I decided to have myself a list. Okay, any of you guys seen any of my other ones? I decided to address these different things one at a time. Things that I would like to show people in a corner of these videos, handful of 20s, and put it in and show you that money that I ain't getting. And I decided to have a list and make videos in a list and break to get down and have separate people that I wanted to piss off, mortify, or they want to look at the video and say, "Oh, fuck you," yeah. Or I wished I could see the look on their face, but yeah, the marijuana bandwagon is one of them. And don't get me wrong, I got friends and neighbors and everything, older people, they're sick, of course. I don't care, they got pains and everything, nothing wrong with it. And you got some friends that use it that ain't being dicks about it, you know what I mean? These other ones that you got these fucking grown people, in workplaces and everywhere else, and on fucking Facebook, on social media, with their whether it's memes or whether it's like statements in the decorative things about how proud they are of smoking pot and putting other people, now that it's on the verge of being, legal, recreational in my state and everything. Now you got all these people getting fucking bolder and putting people down that don't smoke it. Like, you can be some person minding their own business and you don't care. People that smoke it. That's the kind of people I want to piss off. And everybody, it's like, and even Henry Rollins once said that it's a plant, it's not, excuse me. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, what I was saying, it's a plant, not a fucking reason for living. I mean, even Henry Rollins wasn't saying, well, against it. I think he was on a video or somewhere, I think I found about the medical, some kind of video seminar, and everybody saying that, oh yeah, I'm making that statement he used to say, now he changed. I don't know, but anyway, yeah, it still applies. If somebody has certain sicknesses and pains, fine or whatever, and then some people that have used it before it become legal, recreational, anybody else, if they're not being jerks about it, you know some people. I want to say about cigarettes separately too. That applies to cigarettes. Like, for example, I had friends, people that work next to me that I got rides home from jobs that I did and everything else, from work. And they smoke like a chimney. That don't matter, whether they're men or women, they're not being idiots about it. But then everybody got like maybe, I don't know anybody, you guys, that I used to imitate Guns N' Roses with a cigarette when I was younger, but yeah. But anyway, I'm one of them people. I don't know how many of you guys out there had this mother, okay, especially a mother, acting all badass, flicking them out of the carton instead of the male badass thing that's always in your mouth, like I did in imitating Guns N' Roses. And my stepdad, he was the macho man thing with cigarettes, okay, and always had it hanging out of his mouth. And he's even working. We're sawing down a tree that a storm took down. I'm helping work under a car, cigarette hanging out. Then, we're helping put drywall up on the ceiling. Yeah. It caught up with him. I'm just saying, he got he started getting some pretty bad medical problems from that shit. So yeah, that could happen to you eventually. But I want to talk about cigarettes on a separate thing. But it's like the marijuana, to me, I'm trying to say, it's just like people with the cigarettes. You don't give a shit. You got certain friends that can smoke like a chimney right the fuck in front of you, and you don't give a shit because they're not being dicks about it. So that's how I clear that up. But then some people, like my mother, for example, it's like when I was younger, before you get your first apartment, then eventually you go over their house, you get your first apartment, no matter how fucking my mother was like one of these people. This was supposed to be a video just about marijuana, but, and I was going to do a separate one with cigarettes, but then I had it on my mind, I might as well say it, that my mother was like one of them people, no matter how fucking old you are, you got your first apartment, you were out, but you're going over their house, you got your own life, and they're telling you, right, oh, eating out every day is a waste of money. I lived across the street for a bunch of years from a restaurant when I had one of the best jobs I ever had. Okay, that's the kind of shit I can't stand. That's why I'm talking about cigarettes here. Like, in a way, because, yeah, she bought, like, always 5 cartons of fucking cigarettes uh, a month. And, of course, it was off of my stepdad's Social Security money because, yeah, he worked and he paid into Social Security. He drove trucks and everything else. You know, he was a truck driver. Okay, and then she worked a little bit in her life. I mean, there's one time in her life she worked long enough to actually collect unemployment, maybe one time in her life. But other than that, very little in her life that she even worked. That she ain't even going to get a hell of a lot of Social Security, right? But money he worked for. Right off the top, she runs the finances just first before paying the bills. Goes straight down and buys 5 cartons of cigarettes before everything else and justifies, whoa, I pay the bills and everything else too. And then I decide to go out and do whatever the hell I want. That's the kind of shit I can't stand. And then they tell me, you know, don't matter how fucking old a mother like that they don't care how fucking old you are or if you're on your own or anything. They can buy a shitload of a bunch of cigarettes, okay, like that, on money that the guy they're married to paid into Social Security on their money, and they never worked hardly in their life. And then say, or you could be watching this video too and having a mother like that. Maybe you smoke a little bit of moderate marijuana smoker, or maybe you buy cigarettes. And say you got this damn mother, okay, or parent. They buy this whole shitload of cigarettes, okay, and then say maybe you eat out, maybe a restaurant and bar every day. Maybe you got lucky, you know, to have a slightly better paying job. Or hey, I was the kind of person that, you know, I smoked to imitate Guns N' Roses when I was younger, and I think I quit when I was like fucking 19. I think it's just when I got my first job, I decided to be a cheap ass. Had one of my first jobs was minimum wage before I got out of minimum wage. And you know how those things go. You get one company, you get a break, you get on with the company, and they're giving profit sharing bonuses. And they decide, you know, they're tired of paying it, and then all of a sudden shit goes on company and yada yada. But anyway, yeah, like I was a cheap ass that started out with minimum wage. I said, you know what? What was more important to me, man? I saw across the restaurant, food smelling over there. Man, that was my first priority. And then getting myself the stereo or whatever. When I was making less money, your furniture wasn't the greatest at first and all that. You know, like Jeff Foxworthy said, the first apartment, you know, man, your first couch in your first apartment was that one couch that's sitting outside, that somebody got rid of, you know what I mean? That, yeah, as soon as it gets dark, you know, that thing is mine, you know, because, you know, in the daytime, I guess. Well, sometimes, you know, some of the towns where I lived in, people didn't give a shit, you know. Jeff Foxworthy was just making a funny, but there's some people that didn't give a shit in my neighborhoods. It's daylight, man, people take it. And you just, you know what I mean? But anyway, your first apartment, you're being cheap like that, you know, and like Jeff Foxworthy said too, the first apartment, like, minimum wage, you have the $1,000 stereo. Maybe in my case, I was buying it piece by piece. I landed a better paying job, and then I was strutting like the $1 million man, you know, when I got out of minimum wage, and then I'm whipping up, just going and eating out every day. Oh, and then you got, like, no matter how old you are, you get this parent like with like, oh, that's a waste of money. But then before you had your first apartment, you lived with them, and then when you're around them, after you had you're living your own life, and you're around them once in a while, you go out somewhere, even though sometimes you can't stand the parents or whatever. Yeah, and yeah, like I said, I can't say it enough. Like, no matter how fucking old you are, they'll tell you this and that eating out is a waste of money, but they can buy all them fucking cigarettes. Oh, but if I decided to buy bunches of cartons of cigarettes, but that would be okay. They wouldn't have a problem with it. And you try to ask them, you say that politely, and they get mad. They just yell over top of you. That's the kind of shit I grew up with, okay? And then so now I got other people out there, you know, that, you know, it used to be like people smoked a little pot, you didn't give a shit. Now you got the way things are now, you know, because people getting more arrogant because it's on its way to being legalized for recreational use because our governors can't find a way to squeeze more taxes out of people, giving away money and pocketing more money, giving themselves pay raises, they got to find another fucking source of revenue. You know what I mean? And they figure, why should the illegal drug daddy get it? When they could be making some of the money. Then now everything is kind of changing. You don't give a fuck what anybody else does. You're not trying to. Every time you say one little thing, these people on social media, before they even get a chance to let you explain yourself, they're like, you say one thing, they're taking it that you're trying to deny them of their precious marijuana, and you're like, people do that with their cigarettes too, or whatever the fuck. And I didn't fucking say that, It's like, that's why I don't give a fuck about this. Some of these people, like the marijuana thing, it's like the way things are changing now. You got grown-ass people. Now it's because, okay, now we're having our way, so we're going to be a bunch of grown-ass people acting like in high school now and shaming other people because, yeah, you don't spend enough of your money on that weed or whatever, and saying all the stuff on social media, showing off how into weed they are. Literally putting it on there. Sometimes don't say nothing. No, I'm not going to say anything about every single one of them, but putting their stuff on about their weed because, of course, it's like trolling. They're hoping somebody would be more like a religious conservative that they want to piss off and, get it. They want to get into they want to gratify themselves getting a little argument and act like everybody's oppressing them because they smoke weed. And then there are ones that are like the conservatives are going after all that. But then some of us that don't give a shit, and maybe we walk around with a cocky look on our face and don't give a shit. Maybe we got a few friends and neighbors we know that smoke it for whatever reasons, or they smoke cigarettes. Who cares? That friends, you don't give a shit. They don't do like for example, my mother does. You don't see them. Or you that's watching this, like smoking, or you smoke pot, I don't see you telling me what I can't, like maybe my mother would do. Spend a couple $100 on, say, weed, for example, and I don't see you telling me what I am doing is a waste of money. That's kind of nonsense. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah, I was kind of like trying to say out there in a nutshell too. If any of you people that if you smoke pot, I don't care, or if you smoke cigarettes, maybe a parent that does that shit. Maybe you don't smoke as much of it as anybody else. I mean, fine, put a comment on, But yeah, this video was supposed to be on weed alone, but yeah, well, okay. If you got this far with this video, there's a part of me that wants to flaunt it in my mother's face right there too. That, yeah, look at all that cigarettes, man, that you could be buying with that. That, say, before you had your first apartment, they're charging you this much, to pay your way, and you go beyond the call. And they give a shit about their cigarette. Mad because you get your first apartment because it's not about the discipline that you should have, before you have your first apartment, you get old enough to work and maybe pay a little bit toward the utilities. Nothing wrong with that, but there are some of them, like, you look up the videos about a narcissistic parent, like the YouTube videos about that, unlike the maybe fair discipline, say you're watching this right now, maybe you smoke marijuana, you maybe smoke cigarettes, and you drink a little beer, right? But say you get one of them parents and maybe they drink and all that too. There are some of them that, yeah, when you're old enough, get the fuck out of the house. You've got those kind of parents. But then you got these other ones, like some of ours, they'll threaten you with get the F out of the house in an argument. But they're like, you have a discipline you're doing, maybe even be on the call. You're paying a little way. You have a job, instead of living for free, put something reasonable toward it, because politically, in a household political sense, you should have some say in decisions, in the thing, in certain financial decisions. I mean? But then you get these ones that it's not about the discipline. You know what I'm saying, too, if you got this far in this video. Some of them, as soon as you're ready to get your first apartment, instead of the ones that are like, oh, it's time to get the fuck out now and be on your own and get another apartment, you get these ones that threaten to throw you out, this and that. But get all mad when you're getting your first apartment because they're making that money off of you. You know what I mean? You get the ones that are like that. Or you're not allowed to succeed at anything, even if it's a job a little above minimum wage. They'd rather not have you succeed at all if there's nothing in it for them. And then you get your first apartment, unlike the ones that say, oh, it's time to get the hell out and be on your own and be responsible. You go beyond the call and they want more of it or something. It's almost like they want every penny. You get those kind, you know. So I try to explain to some of these teenagers or these younger people that you understand what they're saying. Like if you know certain people that are younger, but I know there's hypocrisy. I mean, what I'm trying to say, I got into all these other subjects, but it stems from a lot of the hypocrisy right in the house. Then you say, well, you got some friends that are okay, you let it be, and then you got these other people out there, you know what I mean? Well, I don't know. I heard these other stories, people I knew too, that had these roommates. Instead of having their own first apartment by themselves, they had roommates that, I don't know, and if both of you drink and smoke, or one of them drinks and smokes more than the other, it's better off not to have any roommates. That's like if you two roommates that have the same habits could be trouble, bringing each other down. I says you're better off having roommates that don't have any habits, that can go without a certain thing for a while and put money together to have a fucking pizza somewhere, or some kind of thing you want to do, or something to go out or buy a stereo. Or that's my, that's just me and all that. But yeah, I'm just like tired of everybody. Everybody is like bullshit. You know, it starts in the fucking house, and then like later on, like I said, that's why you don't associate with certain members of your family outside of somewhere. You know what I mean? Or you'll get that one family member out there too. You know, that's they had like a wilder life. They were running out drinking. You know, looking for women, doing this stuff. Lost their driver's license with DUI, a couple years suspended, and they maybe start getting a little bit more religious, right? Yeah, you're happy for them. They settled down and they got married and they quit the shit they were doing. But then, yeah, then all of a sudden they were doing more shit than you ever did. You're happy that they settled down, and then they have this passive aggressive. They get self-righteous. You know what? Yeah, I like to be George Carlin or Henry Rollins in a way. But in a way, I'd be pissing everybody the fuck off. There's some people, in a sense, I don't give a shit what they do. Man, my own people that kind of look like me would be lynching my ass, you know what I mean? And then wanting to hang me, you know? That's another thing, too. I'd say a separate video on these people that talk about all this damn shit. That, unlike people like I mentioned, too, that are on stage saying this shit. Now everybody's so fucking butthurt, man, they'll ban you forever getting any kind of whatever, like a celebrity stage thing, man. Ban you from job working places, ban you from ever getting a job anywhere, or an acting job or anywhere. Or if you're in the working world, you know, walking on eggshells, people gotta want to tell you, you gotta be signaled what to think and what not to think anymore, no matter what fucking crowd you're in. It's in everywhere. It's in politics. It's in like these actors all over Twitter now, and these different people. You can't joke about anything more. Everything's all hate. And if you say, well, if you say, quote, whatever floats your boat, or you say, I have my life. If you say, quote, I have my life and you have yours, that's being a hater now. You know what I mean? And you say, yeah, even though you say, oh, it's your life, you can do whatever you want. I guess you're not allowed to say, oh, I have my life and you have yours. You're not allowed to say whatever floats your boat. If you don't worship at whatever damn altar, you know what I mean? Whatever it is, you know, the pot smoking or list of other shit. If you openly have the thing you call tolerance and say whatever floats your boat, or I have my life and you have yours, you're just one of them people, what a smart mouth that's actually... You're literally opening to say you refuse to worship him. Even though you tolerate him, you're actually saying that you're refusing to worship him, and that's actually trouble, and you'll get harassed. And, I think everybody a little bit of everybody acting like a bunch of fucking school kids. Like everything is okay now, no matter what it is on that political stuff. Whether it's the people with their gender stuff, uh, legalized drug stuff, and different kind of all these isms. Everybody got their like narcissistic bullshit now. It's in the college campuses now where people are paying good money to learn, but oh, it's they care more about being on their campuses promoting their bullshit. Um, they're trying to not just they don't want tolerance. They want to literally tell everybody else what the fuck to do. They don't just want their own rights. They want to fucking tell people what to do. And they all have their habits. They all smoke. They all fucking vape. They all fucking do this or that. And you don't care what they do. It's just it's what basically it is. Everybody's just grown ass people, playing the shaming game like fucking school kids. And